which one will the fountain bless?
Mum!
3. Yes? Oh, I've done your wig, Sharon.
Oh, thanks, Mum. Can you give us a hand?
Oh, all right. Oh, very nice. Now then, you put your arm around my shoulder and hop. That's it. Oh, you know, Sharon, this is the first time that anything like this has ever happened in the Eversley family before.
Didn't have to make your legs up, though.
Oh, you must... There's the doorbell.
Well, I can't go, can I?
Oh, no.
Hello, Mrs. Eversley. I see you've been at the hairy store again.
Cheeky.
Hey, Sharon, I want it... Golden Bennett!
Do you like it?
What are you supposed to be, a haddock?
She's a mermaid. Now, here, dear, you put your wig on to get your full effect. There. My little star.
Yeah, very nice. Only never thought of a mermaid wearing a fluffy jumper.
I should be taking it off.
Oh, I'll hang about then.
When I'm on my float.
Marine life through the ages, that's the theme this year.
Look, if you think you're parading through the streets flashing your Bristols...
Eric! Don't be utterly coarse. I shall be wearing a couple of cockle shells.
I still don't like it.
Well, then you'll have to lump it, Eric. My daughter has her appearances to make.
What for? Fish fingers?
Oh, you're showing yourself in your true colours now, aren't you? It takes a mother to take a real interest in her daughter's career.
What? Like when she wanted to be an art student, you said she'd be better off working down the supermarket?
I think you're just jealous, because you're not a mermaid.
You're not jealous, are you, Eric? You needn't be.
Oh, I didn't say I was.
I mean, I could get you on the float with me if you like. I could fix it. I could get you as one of the fishermen of England.
I could just see that. Me and Sal Wester and Wellington Boots tossing cod's heads to the crowds. No, thanks. Door?
Tail?
Sharon!
Oh, come in, Maureen. Bring a bit of sanity into this madhouse.
Mary, Mother of God, the postman's been.
Stone me, it's contagious.
Yes, Sharon, I like your costume he's been.
Oh, thanks. The postman.
Do you know what he's done?
Delivered a letter?
Not just any letter. It's my GCE results. If I haven't passed this time, I'll kill myself. No, I can't do that. We're not allowed to.
It's just an exam result.
Just. If I haven't passed, I'll never start my state-registered nurse course. I'll be confined to bedpans for the rest of my life.
Well, open it.
No, I can't. You?
Oh, no, I opened it last time and you failed. It was horrible.
Oh, give it us here. God, blimey. Oh, dear. I'm afraid you're passed in both subjects, Maureen.
I knew I'd... Oh, just think of it. Actual diseases, actual illnesses.
Broken legs?
Yes! Real nursing, that's what I'll be able to do now. My spiritual vehicle's on the motorway to fulfilment.
Of course, my lorry will be leading the carnival procession, you know.
Will it? Well, then it's lovely for both of us.
They'll probably put a plaque up for you back at school. Maureen Bullock, state-registered nurse.
Yeah, then there's yours, of course. Sharon Eversley. Bleeding mermaid.
Stop, patient. I bring you tidings of great joy. That bottom-pinching anaesthetist has gassed himself. I said joy, not ecstasy. No, I'm starting a new nurse on your ward today, young Maureen Bullock.
Good. A very promising cadet.
Oh, for God's sake, don't call her that. She's a trainee nurse now, which in her eyes is like being elevated to the peerage.
Oh, I see. I'm glad I've got her, though. Bright kid.
Bright, yes, but a little exhausting sometimes.
I'm here, matron.
Just a minute, nurse.
Nurse.
Staff do try to get back some bottoms done before Mrs. Travelling Library comes. You know how easily shocked she is.
Yes, matron.
Oh, please, matron, I'm reporting.
You mustn't make it sound like the second coming.
I'm sorry. I just want to start healing the sick.
Well,
You could make Mrs.
Right, of course. Now, Mrs. Talbot. We shouldn't be out of bed, should we? Should we?
Exercise.
Oh, well, come along, Mrs. Talbot. Exercise, that's the way. I know it's a strain, but we must persevere, mustn't we? That's right. And round we go.
Nurse Bullock. Mrs. Talbot is not in training for the next Olympics.
No need to rush, Mrs. Talbot. You're not in training for the next Olympics. There you are. What shall I do now, staff?
What I wanted you to do in the first place.
Yes, right. What was that?
Just make Mrs. Greer more comfortable.
And remember your training.
Sorry, yes. And how are we today, Mrs. Greer? What is it? What's gone wrong? Nothing to worry you. I see. I see.
There is something wrong. I know it.
A slight abnormality, Mrs. Greer, and that's all I'm at liberty to divulge.
Oh, God, I'm abnormal.
I didn't say that.
Don't relax.
No.
I'm going to die. I want my bed.
No, really.
Now, Mrs. Greer, what's all this about?
It's there. She says I'm abnormal.
Slightly, I said.
Well, I could die of that. I want my bed.
You will have your Bert when he comes to take you home later this morning.
You're the one that's abnormal, telling people they're abnormal.
It's only abnormal, Mrs. Greer. If you say abnormal to somebody, then they take it abnormally.
Not when the person that says abnormal to you is abnormal herself. Ha ha.
Abnormality, Mrs. Greer, is...
You must never, ever get involved in that sort of discussion with a patient.
I'm sorry, matron. I'm just a total failure, aren't I?
After 5 minutes, hardly. All you have to remember, Maureen, is that a hospital is a place of rest.
Yes, matron.
Will you promise me?
Yes, matron.
Very well. A sister has to administer an enema to Mrs. Hopkirk. Would you please prepare the trolley?
An enema? Oh, boy! Sorry, matron.
Oi, 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 oi. Trying to do a man out of a job, are you? Hospital porter I am, so I'll do the porting in future.
Maybe so, Parker, but I have to get my patient to the theatre. And if you're not here to... Mrs. Carter! Parker! I've lost Mrs. Carter!
Well, you're so clever, go and find her. He's trying to do a man's job, I don't know what place he's coming to.
Keep calm, Mrs. Carter, I'm coming! Mrs. Carter! Oh, Mrs. Carter.
Enjoy your run, did you?
Mrs. Carter! Oh, thank goodness! All right, Parker, come along. Some of us are dedicated, you know.
Nurse, Mrs. Carter isn't the only patient in the ward.
I know, staff, but she was my first op. She's got to live, staff, she must.
I should think there's every chance, considering she only suffered from hammer toes.
Oh.
And from what I hear, she was very lucky ever to get to the theatre. Now, come along. Mrs. White's medicine, please. We really must get her bowels moving.
Medicine? Oh, boy!
It's all right, Mrs. Carter. It's only Nurse Bullock.
Mrs. White! Mrs. White! It's no good pretending to be asleep, Mrs. White. There we are! All over.
Nurse Bullock,
Yes, staff?
hands, that's all.
That's the one I was telling you about. The one that's abnormal.
I'm not abnormal.
Now, come on, love, let's get home. I'll cook you a nice dinner, and then we can watch the carnival from the front room window. It goes right past.
Lovely. One of my friends is in that, Mrs. Greer.
Oh, and is she abnormal like you?
Don't be rude. My friend is a mermaid.
Oh, what a relief. Now, that's what I call real normal, that is.
Heaven's sake, Mrs. Eversley, will you please vacate my float?
No, I'm the mother of your centrepiece, and as such, I'm doing her hair.
But I've laid on Mrs. Abercrombie for Mason Winnies to do hers.
I don't care who you've laid on. She's my daughter.
Oh, for goodness sake, Mum, don't interfere.
Well spoken, Miranda. You don't seem to realise, Mrs. Eversley, it took us a whole year in committee to plan this spectacular. Have you got a yellow card?
No, I haven't.
Well, there you are then. Only those issued with yellow cards are allowed to board a float as such.
Throne's facing the wrong way and all. Here, move out of the way, you. Now you, give us that.
Don't touch that, the glue's not dry. And look what you've done to my fisherman of England.
It's here! Watch where you're putting that oar. I'm just trying to see that my daughter goes off to her best effect.
Look, I'm not a firework.
Now, come on, boys, please. You have rehearsal. Yes, what is it, Captain Ahab?
Look, why don't you get off me and leave me alone?
Because I want you to be a success, that's why.
You just want to be up the front.
You're up the world, you bloody fool, on the Moby Dick float. Keep your leg under your coat.
You've never taken an interest in me, but as soon as I do anything glamorous, oh yes, there you are.
I'm helping.
You're interfering and you're embarrassing me. Can't you see that?
What do you mean the float's gone off without you? Well, hop after it, man. Hop! Hop!
Oh, my little baby. You go first, Night. No.
You're just an embarrassment. Now get off me! They're there when you want them, Mrs. Thrupp. This should be the last batch. Oh, cheer up. You've got lovely stewed prunes for tea.
New admission staff. Bruised hip. We'll keep patient in for a few days, check internal injuries.
Very well, matron.
Mrs. Eversley! Are you all right?
She'd hardly be here if she were, nurse.
Right, bed free, please.
What happened then, Mrs. Eversley?
I fell off the back of a lorry.
You sound like a packet of stolen cigarettes. How'd you come to do that, then?
I don't want to talk about it.
Does Sharon know?
I don't want to talk about her, neither.
Oh. I know what will cheer you up. We've got stewed prunes for tea.
Can I have the screens round, please?
Yes, of course, but why?
Because I don't want to talk to nobody. And I don't want nobody to talk to me.
And fancy cakes.
Screens.
See that? She's blooming well killed someone.
You done what?
I killed my mother.
You thrown the law?
Oh, she's actually dead. Oh, it was utterly idiosyncratic. She was going on. You know what she is. But I didn't mean to push her, only she toppled over and I jumped up and split me tail and Mr. Forbes stepped back onto one of his giant lobsters and all the fishermen of England went on strike.
Sounds like the best part of the carnival happened in the garage.
Oh, Eric, don't be flippant.
Well, look, calm down. Tell me exactly what's wrong with your mum.
Well, she's got a bruised hip and they're keeping her in for observation.
I can't see you getting life for that.
But she won't see me, Eric. Oh, I said some terrible things to her and she won't see me. She just lie there and pine herself to death. Did you know that if an Indian is kept in captivity, they just fade away?
Well, she ain't exactly Minnie Ha-Ha, is she? She's just sulking.
Well, I'd sulk if I had a daughter who threw me off the backs of lorries.
Well, before you book your passage to Devil's Island, let's go and have a chat with Maureen, eh?
Why?
We'll see if she can persuade your mum to see you. She's a very sensible girl, is Maureen.
I heard someone say in the boutique the other day how sensible I was.
All right, you're both sensible and I'm a genius, so we must be able to sort it out. Come on.
Yeah, all right.
Right, we're going in the van, or you're putting on your tail and swimming?
That, Nurse Bullock, is not only a sample of Mrs. Eversley's blood, it's a sample of the trail of havoc you've left behind you today.
I just seem accident-prone, matron.
Oh, nonsense. You're just overzealous. And look at the results. You lose a patient on the way to the operating theatre. Mrs. Talbot has given up exercise altogether in case you run her over. As for poor Mrs. Thrupp's bowels, well, you could drive a tram through them. Now, what are you doing?
I imagine you want my uniform, matron.
Well, that's up to you. But if you do decide against unfrocking yourself, remember this. I expect my nurses to exude an air of purposeful calm, not to go rushing about the corridors shouting, "Oh boy, enema!" That's all I have to say.
Rotten fat-nosed bully!
What's that, Maud?
Yeah, one of them randy doctors been having a go at you, has he?
I'd as soon have been raped than perpetrate all the horrible crimes I've done today.
Well, what have you done then?
Oh, nothing much. Just nearly poisoned Mrs. Thrupp.
Blimey, I think I went to school with a couple of murderesses.
Eric, try and be sensible, please. Oh, come on, Maud. I'll sweep this up for you. Come on. What is it?
Your mother's blood.
You're telling me to be sensible?
It was only a sample, Shaw. Quite naturally, I dropped it.
What do you want a sample for?
Not that I know anything about nursing anymore. But doctor said that she was depressed out of all proportion to her injury. So he thought he'd better test for anemia, things like that.
Oh, hear that, Eric? I've given my own mother anemia.
Oh, Bennett, look, Ma, we all know what's wrong with Mrs. Eversley. She had a Barney with Sharon. That's why we come round here. See if you could, like, bring them together again.
Me? I'd probably just induce a heart attack. As if I ever got to her. I'd probably fall down the laundry chute on the way or something.
Oh, please try more.
Look, Ma, here in the hospital, this is your province. I mean, this is a medical matter, isn't it? What you're trained for.
Well, I suppose I still am slightly medical. Yes, all right. I'll see what I can do. What we call data first. Patient's name.
My mum.
Oh, yes. Look, you come along visiting time tomorrow. And if the patient has responded to therapy, well, who knows?
What are you going to do, Ma?
Have a natter with her.
Here. You look a bit peaky, Sharon. You know that?
Yeah, it's probably all the worry.
Ah, never mind, love. Nice early night. Come and see your mum in the morning, eh?
Yeah, good idea.
I'll set the alarm for 8. We'll be up by 9.
Yeah, we can... We? Eric Duffy.
Well, there's no point letting an empty house go to waste, is there?
Oh,
eh?
Not asleep yet, Mrs. Thrupp?
I daren't sleep. Oh, no. Sorry. Can I have a word with you, Mrs. Eversley?
I don't care. What about?
A few home truths. I've had mine, now it's time for yours.
Oh, it was funny. It really was. Oh, and by the way, my daughter's coming in to see me this morning. £8.6 she was at birth. Oh, she was a beautiful kiddie.
Mine was totally bald.
She's in the entertainment business now, you know.
Of course it grew, but when he was 23 it all fell out again.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah.
That's right, love. Have her knees up. You look like Peg Leg Pete. Oh, dear. Oh, look at that.
All right, Mrs. Eversley.
Oh, I'm feeling right as ninepence, love.
Remarkable.
Well, it's all due to that wonderful little person over there.
Mrs. Talbot?
No, Maureen. You ought to make her a psychiatrist, that girl. You know, it doesn't do women of our age any harm to be called silly old bags sometimes, does it?
I didn't actually use those words, matron.
No, love, but it was the meaning. I mean, the kids might call our boyfriends uncle, but when all's said and done, they're just fancy men, aren't they?
Yes, I suppose they are.
Keeps you young, though, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Stop.
But that's the nub of it, you see. You shouldn't be so young that you try to keep up front with your daughter all the time. Trying to be a glamour puss, you know.
Quite. Mind you, I'm not married.
Neither am I.
Carry on, staff.
Oh, not again.
We need just a little more blood, Mrs. Eversley. I'm afraid the sample we took yesterday wasn't quite enough.
Well, I'm only having it done if Maureen does it.
Oh, boy, staff. Hypodermics. I didn't shout.
All right, Maureen, but you must follow my instructions very carefully. Right arm, please, Mrs. Eversley.
Right arm, please, Mrs. Eversley.
Screens, nurse.
Screens. Uh-huh. I see screens. Another poor soul for the chop. Do you know, I've only just stopped going, and that was her fault, too. Blooming quiet in there, isn't it? I did it, staff. I did it.
I didn't feel a thing.
Well done, nurse.